Want to hear about the time I lost my vagina? What's up, everybody? It's comedian and motivational speaker Tanyalee Davis. Do you want to fold laundry with me while I tell you a story about how I lost my vagina while you watch me with awe and amazement? If you don't know, I am married to Kevin, who is my penguin, my honey bun, and the love of my life, my soulmate. We originally met 28 years ago online, but we had a 14-year break, and we've been back together. It'll be 12 years November of 2024. But we started off pretty rough. When we got back together, I started going on birth control. We were banging like rabbits. He flew down to Florida. We went swimming with the manatees. We're having a great old time being like, kind of newlyweds, just going at it. And then I flew to the UK, which I had been going back and forth, 1 month on, 1 month off. So I flew to the UK. 2 days after I arrive, I wake up and I can't walk. My groin area is killing me. And I was like, oh my God, Kevin did break my vagina. So I ended up on a train to Western-super-Mare. I ended up in the hospital there and staying with a family for a couple of days. Turns out I had a blood clot. Yep, from the birth control. So I immediately went off the birth control. But then I started hemorrhaging. Oh my gosh, and it wouldn't stop. And they couldn't get the bleeding under control. I ended up in Birmingham Hospital for 11 days. Turns out I had a fibroid, massive fibroid. I called him Freddie. And the problem is they put me on blood thinners because of the blood clot. But then this massive fibroid was causing me to hemorrhage. And they couldn't do anything with that because I was on blood thinners and I could bleed to death if they tried to do surgery. So my dad flew over from the States to England. I was in Birmingham Hospital for 11 days. I ended up flying back to America and then back up to Canada, where I ended up moving in with my mother for a couple of months because she had a ranch-style house, easier for me to get around, and I needed somebody to take care of me. Kevin didn't have a passport at the time, so we basically just video chatted every day. I was hemorrhaging. They finally got the bleeding under control. So, of course, not knowing I was going to have health issues, my mother had paid for a Mexican vacation for my sister, her husband, their son, and my mom and I to go to in January. The trip was bought and paid for. The problem was that Christmas, my sister decided to tell her husband that she was leaving him. But now we're all going on a Mexican vacation together? Awkward. And to top it all off, 2 days after we arrive, I start hemorrhaging again. So then my mother and I have to scramble and find an emergency flight back to Vancouver, Canada, so that I can get to a hospital. So my mom and I got in a Mexican taxi, drove 4 hours while I wore diapers from the Mexican Walmart, and flew back to Vancouver, Canada. I got checked into the hospital, sat in a hallway for a couple of days, and eventually they ended up having to pull me off the blood thinners and do an emergency hysterectomy on me. So on February 1st of 2013 is when I lost my soggy box, everybody. And I gotta tell you, as somebody that really struggled with that time of the month, that was the best thing I ever did, was getting the soggy box taken out. And now it's just a playpen. Well, let's be honest now. I'm menopausal. It's dry and vacuous, barren. Anyway, Anyway, it was overall a pretty horrible experience. But this is the thing is with comedians, right? I went through there was months of hell. But in August of 2013, I did an Edinburgh Fringe Festival show called Big Trouble in Little China. Yeah, and told the whole story. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the story. Follow me, Tanyalee Unstoppable Me.